Well, gentlemen, welcome to our New Tracks meetup. I want to thank you so much for coming this evening. I hope you enjoy this show, and I hope you come back often and tell your friends to join us. I want to talk a minute here about the train show that's coming up. The second one is November the 21st, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, and it'll be about twice as large as the first one. And it's going to be much better, I hope, than the first one. I think it will be. And I'd like for Chris, who is one of the manufacturers in the show, to take a few minutes and tell us about his company and, frankly, help promote the show a little bit rather than me just constantly talking about what date it's going to be and where it's going to be. So, Chris, I'll turn it over to you first.
All right. Well, thanks, Jim. I'm Chris Kors, and my company is called Conowingo Models. I do laser cut structures, and I've ventured a little bit into rolling stock. And I figured tonight I'd just share, just in a couple quick minutes here, share a few of the projects that I'm working on. The first thing that's probably about the closest to production. I don't know how well you see that, but I've got a little caboose that I'm working on. I've decided I like doing cabooses. This one will probably be just called caboose number 1. And then once I get sick of building these or manufacturing these kits, I'll design another one. We'll call that caboose number 2 on down the line until I'm done with that. But this one is getting close. And see, the next thing I've been working on was been working on a 36-foot box car. And as you see, it comes with Conowingo Railroad decals that are from Cedar Leaf Designs. And I'm pretty happy with the way those are coming out. And of course, I've always wanted to do a doodle bug, so I took that basic direction and modified it some, and we've got basically a doodlebug version of the box car. And even though it really doesn't have a whole lot, but those are things that I figured I'd just share with you guys real quick and give you an example of what's on the train show. Oh, one more last thing here. We've talked about it on here a few times, is the lighthouse. Haven't really progressed on it recently, but our little lighthouse is coming right along, and hopefully it'll be done before too much longer, and we can get it out the door and into production for you guys. So these are the types of manufacturers and the types of things that you're going to see on the train show, and I hope you can hope you all find time to come out and join us and check out some of these interesting manufacturers. My website is Conowingo, that's CONOWINGO models, MODELS.com. Thanks, Jim.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chris. And I to kind of repeat what Chris is saying, I do hope that you'll take the time to join us on November the 21st at 1 o'clock Eastern Time, because I think you'll really enjoy it, and I think you'll meet some modelers and some manufacturers that you won't see at a normal train show, because the manufacturers and the people that are on the show primarily are not the large manufacturers. They're not the resellers. They're not the people that have collections that they bought from somebody else that are trying to sell them at the train show. These are manufacturers. These are people who have created models for you to enjoy in the hobby, and they're offering them for sale. So we hope you'll come and meet them and hear from them and see the kind of models that they are manufacturing for us. If you have not yet done so, I'd like for you to try to go to our newtracksmodeling.com website. TC Carr has done an excellent job putting it together for us, and I hope that you'll go and register at the site because you'll get an automatically generated private email just to you that'll give you a reminder of the shows coming up that we do on Zoom, as well as the future train shows. Tonight, we have another one of My Bill series that Chris is going to moderate. The one after this is going to be on December the 12th. So if you can put that on your calendar, we hope you'll be able to join us for that one and bring some models and show us what you're working on. So tonight it's My Bill. This is a model, a diorama, something under construction, something you finished building, something you'd like to share with us. We hope you brought some models, and hope you enjoy seeing what everybody's working on. So Chris, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thanks again, Jim. For those that haven't joined us before for the My Build series, basically it's show and tell. It's an adult version of show and tell. You bring us your models. Doesn't matter if they're done or not. Doesn't matter really what they are. If you need help with them, if you're stuck on something, bring them, and we'll use it as a good tool about things to talk about. Maybe a little bit of mentoring, or maybe somebody knows, hey, I know the perfect product to fix that issue, or whatever. Maybe you just want to show off something you're proud of, and people go, yeah, that's great. That gives me an idea. I want to do this instead with something else that I'm working on. That sort of thing. I know, I believe Bob texted or sent me a message the other night saying that he wanted to share some stuff. So Bob, if you're ready, and if my memory serves me correctly, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay. Share screen available?
Yep, it is up and running.
There we go. Hang on, find out where it is. There it is. And share. Okay, I'll get there eventually. And there. Now, this is HO scale
Wow.
background building by ITLA, which is Imagine Laser Art. This is this began about out last year, I think it was. Anyway, I just finished this book a couple months ago. This is all laser cut, and the windows are so exactly cut that the wood that in these buildings here, for the windows that fit in there, you don't have to use glue. They're so this fit perfect. So decided to put some lighting in there. So this is the back side of it. That top part here on this picture was not done yet, and then there's a weights doing anyway. So going through, looking through these windows, and I've got lights in about 8 or 9 of the rooms that have people in something in there. The windows actually use the wood from the window, just push them out, cut it off a bit, and that becomes a headboard, and there's the base of the bed. That's what it did for all these beds here. And we're down to this area right over here, and I have a 12-volt supply coming in DC, and using Arduino to put the lights on and off at different times. And first time, I'm really proud of myself because they even turned an electronic device into a smoke generator. 4 or 5 seconds. So I have to get another Arduino. And, anyway, and try that again. This is like the dining room. It's all like plates on the tables and so on and so on. It's all detailed. And in this room over here on the second floor, there's a TV. And this flickers. This is a blue LED light in here. Epoxy to the back of this TV screen, and then I just pick a scene off the internet and cut it down to size, and that flickers and it looks like a TV's running, especially when it's in a room. And we're
really cool.
back in here, so it's facing that window there. So yeah.
So how large is that TV screen supposedly?
Oh golly, it wouldn't be ½ inch, maybe not even ½ inch, 3/8 square.
Okay. Because there are some products now, you can get some really tiny little screens.
Wow, like working screen.
Yeah, little bitty
Wow.
screens.
Oh man.
They're used to show sensor readings,
Oh yeah.
and you basically run them like an LED, and they got their own little memory in them
Wow.
that converts everything.
Have to look into that. Yeah,
So did you use a full-size Arduino or a mini or what?
what's that? What's that?
What size Arduino did you?
Mini.
Okay.
It's a
But
very
it has-
impressive building.
So at the end, the coloring doesn't look right. It's real life. It's better coloring than that. There's all kinds of details on the roof. I didn't show that. Details up in here, air conditioning and stuff like that. Hard to see. Anyway,
Bob, how did you like putting the ITLA building together?
oh, I loved it. I
Okay.
got a bunch more that I've done, and I've actually kit bashed them all,
Uh-huh.
and they came out really, really well.
Are the outside signs lit?
No, you could do that with some kind of like external lighting showing down on it, type of thing, but it's all just a wood, laser cut
Okay.
wood. Yeah.
So now is it
Does
laser?
everybody,
I was going to ask, is it laser cut letters on a piece of wood?
Yes,
Or is-
but yeah, it comes on individual. So
Okay,
for example, this one here, they had all kind of joiners in there, so I glued them together, glued them onto the signboard, and then cut the joiners off.
one
Same-
thing you might think about is if you used a piece of plexi
Mhm.
Right?
instead of wood,
Oh, I know, and do this.
lit
light
it
on the
from
side.
inside.
Yeah.
I don't know what the details of how to accomplish that would be, but it's a thought. Maybe if you painted it, if the letters, yeah, I don't know that, but
Yeah. I got.
You
I got-
almost need to engrave the letters in the plexiglass if you want to try and do that.
I've only
Yeah.
seen it done with raised letters one time. They used little clear plastic letters,
Okay.
painted it, and then rubbed, sanded the letters so they would clear again and the light shone through.
Oh, God.
That's all I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Can't remember who. Somebody had electroluminescent panels that you could do that with as well.
Yeah.
I can't remember the company though. I haven't seen them advertised for a little while, so who knows?
Was that Miller?
Yes.
Miller.
Yeah, that's who it was.
That was Miller.
They still have them.
There also another idea, the wood ones like you've got. Take a roller and roll over the letters
Mm-hmm.
with the black light paint,
Oh, right.
and then hide a couple of black light LEDs somewhere. They're not going to be visible as a light source, but they would make the letters glow.
Right.
I just thought of that. I don't know if it would work.
Yeah, probably would.
And then don't cover one of the letters and you've got a burnt out light bulb in there. This is the South Side Hotel after all.
Oh, yes, south side of almost anywhere.
Yeah. Nice work. Very nice.
And we have a restaurant not too far from here, and it's called the Oxford Hotel, or at least it was. And at one point, what happened was the H and the L burnt out,
Oh,
and over time they just never bothered to replace it, so it became known as the Oxford Oat. And in fact, they've replaced the sign, and it's still that way. They intentionally left off the H and the L,
oh, geez.
partially because I guess at one point they had offered rooms up, but they don't offer rooms anymore. So it's kind of an homage to that, I guess.
Oh dear.
When I was,
I was going to escape out of here for a second, and I'm going to drop the. hang
Bob,
on.
before you leave this one, maybe I'm the only one, here that doesn't understand. What's an Edwito?
Arduino, ARDUINO. It's basically a mini computer, and it's about the size of your little about half of your little finger, and you connect all these little wires. There's they call these DuPont plugs, and I have like a strip of brass going along each floor here for the grounding, and then the positive leads are these ones, and then all the grounds. There's another brass bar down in here, or brass strip, and then I do the Arduino ground to that, and then each of these for the lights at different times. So the pins on the Arduino You can actually program them to come on for 5 seconds or 5 minutes or whatever time you want, and then go out. In the meantime, maybe the green lead here, you have that time for coming up another minute later, and so on and so on. So you have the lights coming on and off at different times.
Are they expensive?
This Mini here, this is Canadian. It would be about $8.
Okay.
Yeah, if you get it
That's
from China, they're
expensive for
even
a Mini.
cheaper. If you get it from
Wow.
China, they're even cheaper.
Oh, no doubt.
If I may interrupt, I put something in the chat, the actual official Arduino thing.
Yeah.
Arduino is just basically, it's a microcontroller, which is an all-on-a-chip computer. And it puts it on a little board, and all the little legs that have contact points on the microcontroller are brought out to pins.
Yeah, I'm gonna scrape here, and then I'll get a picture of an Arduino. I'll be right back on here.
Okay.
Bob, how hard is one to program?
Yeah, you have to learn the language because it's C++ and another one combined. It's if you miss the comma or the in a dot in the wrong place, it won't work, and so on and so on. You have to be. It takes a bit of time to play with that. It really does.
We ought to get, I think it's Jeff Bunza.
Yeah.
Yeah, ought to get him on because he's an electronics engineer. And he explains these things about how to use it for your model railroad. There's all different kinds.
Your video is off, TC. I can't see you.
Yes, it is for right now. Something's going on. I'll be right back.
Oh,
But
okay.
no, there's all kinds of versions of this. You can get them from eBay or Amazon for cheaper than the quote official, because it's all open source. So it's anybody can clone it and make it. You can make your own, and there wouldn't be anything legal about it. You can make them and sell them. There's stuff available from third parties that are different. I can't think of the name of it. There in New York has actually come out with an Arduino the size of a postage stamp.
Holy man.
TC, can you send me the person's name and how to reach them, the email for that person? I'll contact them and get them on the show.
Yes, and he'd probably be very willing to do it. He's always throwing out helpful stuff.
Okay, if you'll just tell me who it is and how to reach him.
I can give you that a little later.
Okay, that's great. Because the programming of these kind of things scares me to death, because I could spend no telling how many hours and never get it right. So
Yeah, it's very simple. As long as you're not trying to do anything too fancy, there's lots of ways to get what they call the sketch. Okay. In fact, I could add that to my DCC thing. There's a thing called DCC++, which uses an Arduino and a motor driver to make a DCC command station.
Well, you've lost me totally, TC.
I understand that. That's why I'm saying it'd be a good addition when I talk about DCC.
Okay.
It's all, you just download it, run it across your screen, so to speak, and it's supposed to work, kind of like JMRI. It has its kinks sometimes. Like you said, if you mess with it and get something out of place, it makes errors. But you just fix it and reload it. And there's a lot of sketches, kind of like if you're doing 3D printing, they got Thingiverse. There's the same kind of stuff for Arduino sketches. It's not as elegant as writing your own code, but
An Arduino here,
Cool.
there's a full size Arduino.
Yep.
And you see all the little pins that are on there. as well, or all these little pins and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing a building.
Yeah, that's what I see too.
Well,
Oh,
he held
sorry.
it up. He held it up.
Sorry, is that
Oh.
my little picture here on the side? That's where you see it.
Oh, okay, I see it.
There's
Okay.
a picture on the side.
You may not have it. It
Gonna have
depends on how
in
you.
Their sidebar.
Ah,
Oh,
well, there's pictures of these here. These are two buildings, another two TLAs I did. I just altered them a little bit and changed all around. This one is supposed to be a square building that I decided to do, break it apart, use the back pieces for the side walls in here to make them a little bit longer. So, make really nice kits though. Okay.
Alright.
What scale do those buildings in? Only HO?
HO, but they sell in as well. I think they're starting to do some old.
Oh,
But
cool.
they've also done a couple of vests.
Yeah.
Is there
Yeah,
a
there's
website for them? Oh, okay, there's
Yeah.
the other window.
What was the name of that, those again?
They were in the train show and they're going to be in the new one.
Okay. Oh, wait,
ITLA.
there's one. ITLA, okay.
A minute, I'll get you the link.
They're Canadian. They're Canadian, right?
You
I
don't know.
believe so.
Yes.
Hang on here.
Yes, they're Canadian.
Yeah, they're located in Dorchester,
Yeah,
which is outside London, Ontario.
yeah.
I'll share this. I'll get the email in there eventually. There.
Bob, do you use these Arduinos often in your modeling?
Yeah, I at the museum, I built a SkyTrain, and I use there's a train back years ago, in the 50s and 60s and 70s. Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, CBC TV, had A Friendly Giant. It's a TV show from a guy originated out of Wisconsin, and Wisconsin wasn't interested in him, so he came to Canada. And there's have a castle and so on. So I built an Arduino. So I have the music comes on originally, and when you push the button, when the kids push a button of the train set, it's HO scale and all scratch built. And then the drawbridge goes down, and then the doors open up, and then in the detailed interior. And then it sits like about 5 seconds, then the doors close up, and then the drawbridge come back up again, then the music shuts off. So it's kind of neat. So I did that for that one as well. Yeah.
Fantastic.
So there's the email here for the ITLA scalemodels.com. Anybody that wants that information.
Do they also have a website?
Yeah, this is it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Can you see
Okay.
that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you put it in the chat?
Sure can.
Okay, cool.
I'll get there eventually.
I think I got that right. I just put it in the chat there, Bob.
Oh, did you? Oh, thank you.
Could I have the share screen for a minute? I'll give it right back. And I'm gonna show you guys. Because he held one up, but this might be a little bit better.
Oh,
This-
cool.
Yeah,
That's it.
Yeah.
That's
There you
this is the Arduino.
Yeah.
Now this is the Rev 3. That's what he showed.
Yeah.
Okay. And you see all these little holes in these black headers. That's the connector pins. And then you've got a nano and a micro. And that little thing is tiny.
Yeah.
But that chip in the middle, that's the microcontroller. And that's the reset button, which is actually bigger than the chip that's inside there. You know, the capacitor right there is almost there. This is a very tiny, for reference, that's a USB micro, like's in your A lot of your phones, it's the size of if you have an Apple phone, it's about the size of that connector too. So it's not a very big board. I forget what size USB that is. And of course, that big thing is like the USB on the back of your printer, you know. So there's quite a bit of difference in size, but that's enough of that.
And there's a mini as well.
Yeah. And it's even.
I could show you one that's burned out.
Yeah, well, and Adafruit is the company I mentioned before. They make one called a Trinket, which is the size of a postage stamp.
Yeah, Trinket.
Tiny little thing. It doesn't have all the pinouts that the others do, but still. You can cram these into anywhere.
Amazing.
I know, isn't it?
Yeah.
Back to Bob or back to Chris, whoever's next.
Chris.
All right, well, are you good, Bob? Or you need more time?
Just hang on one second here. I'm gonna get
Okay.
the oh, hang on. Cancel. I'm sorry. Just to give Jim a. Oh, jeepers. Sorry. Always happens that way, right? Yeah. Sorry, not able to get it. Forget it. Thanks. Sorry.
What are the buildings behind you?
Oh, to my right shoulder here.
Mm-hmm.
That's Sierra. Sorry. Oh, South Mountain River. Yeah. I don't know how well you can see it, but I originally wanted to try and sell this thing, but I can't ship it anywhere.
It's one of those things somebody would have to come and pick up.
Yeah, and it's too good size actually, and it's a lot smaller than the original what his footprint was, and altered all around. So anyway,
That's a nice little scene.
yeah. Oh.
And Bob, you're up in Canada, right?
Yes, I'm in the northeast end of Lake Ontario,
Okay,
which is the beginning of the St. Lawrence River, going to the Atlantic.
northeast. So Mossport is about an hour south of you. South.
It'd be about an hour and a half. Yeah,
Okay. I've been there.
west of me. Yeah.
Chris, let me ask you a question. You mentioned what Cedar Leaf Decal is where you got your company's decals made?
Yes.
Does anybody else have a company that they use for custom decals like that?
Shawmut,
How do you spell it?
Shawmut, I believe. It's in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
I know there's what is it, Highball, and I think there's a couple others.
Yeah, Highball's, I think, near me. I've had them make me graphics before, and they came out all right. Now, couldn't tell you where I put them. That was about 3 years ago, well before I didn't have time for a model railroad and was devoting the time to building a company.
Well,
happens.
if you've got an old Alps printer, you can make your own. Them are far and few between. I've got one that's on its last legs, but I've made a lot of my own decals that way.
I think Tichy will do custom decaling making too.
Tichy, the old rail scale decals are now owned by San Juan.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple other people. Also, I'm trying to look it up. There used to be a site called Great Decals.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing you may want to try is there's a company called All Out Graphics in Vancouver, and they do dry transfers. And you can basically get them to take a graphic, and I did one that was pretty big. It was probably about 10 by 17. And I think for about $30, they converted it into a transfer, into a transfer file. And then it's about $30 for a sheet. And the dry transfers, if you're doing something for a print, that may be actually better than a decal for a lot of applications.
Yeah,
Because
it
you
depends.
put one of those sheets up into smaller sheets for inclusion in a kit.
Yeah, I actually went to Cloverleaf because they had at one point advertised dry transfer custom decals, but they don't do those anymore. And they sent me to Cedar Leaf.
Yeah, this guy was pretty good. I mean, the thing that we went through a little bit trying to get through it. When he got done, they're actually really good. But one of the comments was, he says, yeah, he does the dry transfers they put inside the Steinway pianos. So when you buy your $25,000 Steinway piano, that nice thing that's in there, that's actually his dry transfer. So good. They were good. They were very good quality. The key with them, by the way, is heating the thing that you're transferring to, so it's warm when you do the dry transfer. Then they work
Oh,
really
yeah,
well.
yeah, so important.
I mean,
What's
so
the name
if
of
you,
the company again?
it's called All Dash Out Graphics. It's in Vancouver, BC. But it was a guy and his wife, and they were very good. So anyway, just a thought.
Cool. All right. We're gonna move on to Ed Cady now. He's got some stuff to share with us. I know he's got another meeting coming up, so I kind of bumped him to the front of the line so we could get him through. So Ed, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay. Of course, after seeing it, it seems that after seeing everyone, doing slideshows and all that, I sort of like, gee, maybe I should have done that instead of trying to hold models up because, all right.
Yeah, you'll have to shut the virtual background off because it totally disappeared.
Yeah. All right. Let me change that. As soon as I find out exactly which button to press. All right. It's not that button.
Should be under video options when you see the stop video button.
Yes.
Oh, there you go. You got it.
Hey,
did you see on my office chair?
Yeah, I went all the way. I headed south and grabbed it.
Well, you must have been What? Did you get a helicopter to fly you down or something?
I'm only in Vermont. It's all not that far away.
Well, it depends on what part of Vermont you're coming from.
North of Bennington.
Yeah, that's still a hike. To get my chair out of Shrewsbury, yeah, that's a bit of a hike.
Yeah.
But well, it's that the thing is what you don't see. Actually, I have out in the front lawn and all that. I have a British police box that's bigger on the inside. So I was able to, so I was able to get it from you. But back to the models. Chris might recognize this.
Oh yeah.
One of the things of I just recently moved to Vermont, so a good portion of my stuff is it's one of those things of where you put it in a place where you have it right exactly where it won't be disturbed and all that, and then promptly forget where it is. But yeah, I was actually in the process of actually building a little layout and all that and etc. And I didn't really want to buy more stuff, but not being able to find stuff, I saw when Chris had his presentation and all that, I saw some of his buildings and decided to go that direction.
Oh, that's a nice one.
Yep, this is the first one I put together. The second one was I guess the one that hasn't come out yet. And since I didn't have the instructions, I put it together not quite the way it's supposed to go.
Yeah, it's close enough. Yeah, I think that was a Scratch Builder special because you had actually when you'd ordered it, you'd said, "Hey, I was looking for the mollies and I couldn't find it." And I said, "Well, let me see what I can do because I've got a bunch of them that are made up of a bunch of different things and different parts and pieces, and there were some quality issues, so I decided to put them together in a Scratch Builder special so that you can do what you want with it."
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing is that this is one of the hobby shops that I've been able to find that seems that all the model train shops are about an hour away in either direction. But one is, I think there's a place in Adams, Massachusetts that looks very similar to this. It's a crossing gate shanty. So
Yeah, I think you're right. The more I look at that, the more it looks familiar.
And I think it has different size windows and stuff like that and all that. But I was sort of kind of thinking of, you know, as an option, you know, make it so it's actually on a small little post where it's above the tracks and all that. The one in Adams, Massachusetts is on the ground, but there's also, you know, I see a lot of them that are up in the air.
Oh, you're talking about like the old Tyco or Atlas one?
Yeah, I think Tyco and Atlas did a style of that. I know the Delaware and Hudson, which was my first railroad that I sort of kind of fell in love with. They had a lot of them that, you know, where the crossing shanty was up and they had it up in the air.
Yeah.
Chicago Northwestern was big on those too, up in the air.
And
I think there was quite a few that had different styles like that. Yeah.
And I'm in the process of doing this one, which is which one was it? Chris knows.
That's the Eliminator Depot.
Yes. Yeah, the thing is, when you sent me the instructions, it's like, wait, I already have these instructions. I was talking about the other one.
Oh.
But then again, I don't think you've gotten instructions ready for it yet anyway. But I was able to find some other buildings that I've been putting together. I forgot exactly which. Bless you, whoever that was. Some of these are
Foss
old.
Kid of the Month.
Hmm?
That's a Foss Kid of the Month from like a year and a half ago.
I extremely doubt it because I think it's a Manson, which was
really,
yes. This is a very this. If I remember correctly, it's a polyester kit.
Huh.
Magnuson?
Magnuson, yes. Yeah, so I was able to finally find some of these older ones, and since I moved, of course, I turned around and realized that I probably should get rid of all my paints because, well, they're Floquil. So I've been sort of experimenting with, you know, acrylics and stuff like that. This is
a good paint that I found is actually Tamiya. They make a very thin acrylic, which you can thin out even further. Like when I've done painting of my own, I've actually brush painted with it. Now I brush painted with Floquil too. It's two different textures, but they're both just as smooth when you actually look at them. But when you feel them, you can feel it. It feels, I don't know, dull. Whereas like an oil-based paint or a enamel paint, like the Floquil, feels like it feels almost a little bit glossy.
Yeah, it's slick.
Yeah, exactly. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, the other thing is MRH has a guide for matching the Floquil colors with acrylics. They didn't put Tamiya on there because you can't clean it up with water because it's alcohol based.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Okay, I plugged up an air gun trying to use water on Tamiya.
That's different, but you can clean a brush and you can cleans up afterwards with it.
Okay.
Yeah, the hard paint itself will clean up with water.
Yeah.
Just a wet rag, like I've got spots on my desk that I just kind of left because I just kind of said, wait, I've got to go do something. But usually if you take a wet rag to it, like when it's still, you know, not dry, when it's not dried, it'll just come right off.
Yeah.
And the paints that they included in the MRH guide, you don't want alcohol, isopropyl anywhere near them. They'll butter up like bad milk. They're pure water-based. Acrylic is just a polymer. It doesn't tell you what the solvent is, whether it's water or isopropyl, or like TrueScale, it's a couple of different chemicals, but they're all acrylics. So it's kind of, unfortunately, common knowledge has said acrylic is all water-based, but that's not really true.
Right.
Ed, what was the material you said that kit was made out of? Polyester? I've never heard of that.
Yeah,
po-
according to the instructions, this was made out of polyester.
What does it build like? I mean, is it like wood or what? I mean, how do you model it? I've never heard of it.
Like plastic.
Well, yeah, it's like a plastic, except one of the things about it is that you cannot use solvent cement. You actually have to turn around and use two-part epoxy. Otherwise, nothing else sticks.
Not even ACC?
Not even ACC.
No, it's like Delrin. It won't it's too smooth on the smooth side.
Yeah.
There is a chemical that will work. I don't remember which plastic number it is. You'd have to go to Tap Plastics. But you don't want anything but a pinhole, and you want to seal that because it'll evaporate in no time.
What's the advantage of the material?
I honestly don't know. It's I know it's the walls are like they're almost armor plated. They're so thick.
Yeah. You can pour it in a 1-part mold, and unlike 2-part resin, it doesn't warp and stuff like the normal resins used to do way back in the day.
Yeah, as I said, this is a much older kit. And I think that's what they thought was the best at the time, I guess. I think the company was bought out by Design Preservation, which then turned the kit into a different plastic. That's probably why it looks so familiar, because it's sort of like a bobber caboose. It's like, how many different iterations of, they make the same mold over and over and over again. They make improvements on it. And I think that's where this was sort of like the grandfather of this particular style of kit.
Thank you.
Did it smell really bad?
Well, the thing is, my nose doesn't work very well, so I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, because I had an RDA kit that I put, I think it was Owl Creek Station, and it's one of the earlier RDA kits. And I pulled that thing out of the box, and it just absolutely stunk. In fact, it sat for years while I was in various stages of constructing it, and it stunk the whole time. In fact, if I go over and pull it out of the box it's in now, it probably still stinks.
Can anybody hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
I can testify to that resin smelling. The one company I used to use, their cut, whatever formula was, they use fuel oil in it, and that's what makes it smell.
Wait.
As
Fuel
long
oil
as,
in resin?
Yes.
Why would you put fuel oil in resin?
I don't know. But that was one of the cut agents that they used to probably make it cheaper, and because I called them about it, regardless of how long you would have it, it still smelled as long as, and if you closed it back up, like you made something and closed it back up again, it would start to smell again. And that's what they told me, because they use fuel oil. So I was surprised, too.
You can't seal it or anything?
Well, you probably could seal it, yeah, at some point, and that might seal it up, but, it's hard to paint resin because there is, it's glossy and, you really got to wash the resin really good to get the releasing agent off.
That's true. Yeah. Hey, Jim?
Yeah.
You asked about that plastic. The reason a lot of times they're using Delrin for stuff is that doesn't break very easily.
Wow.
So like I've got I've got a Grant Line O-scale caboose, ON3 Grant Line caboose that the steps are Delrin.
Yeah.
And I can't glue them on, period.
There is an ACC.
Yeah,
Dr. Mike's rebottles it. It's
Right.
a medical grade of ACC,
mhm,
and it will glue Delrin.
right.
Also, stand the hell out of the back of it before you glue it on.
If you can do that, yeah, but if you have a little pin that you're sticking into a hole, you can't sand that too good.
There is a two-part method available from Loctite. It has a primer and then a glue.
Oh,
It is not cheap,
mm,
but it will work.
that's a good
As
idea.
to the fuel oil, all plastics used to be made from petrochemicals.
Mhm,
So you get those two-part resins that are still made that way. Paul Vaughn was telling me about one that if it gets cold, it smells like gasoline.
Yeah.
Great.
So the two-part resins are very, I want to say crude, but that's not the right word, primitive plastics.
Well, there's a lot of varieties of them as well, though. I mean, you can get
Oh,
better
yeah.
ones. And some of the real cheap ones are not that great, but if you get a better quality one, you'll get a better casting as well, too.
Yeah, Paul went through, he was telling me 3 or 4 different ones before he found one that didn't have various faults, including one that wouldn't even work in his basement for whatever reason.
My friend
Yeah.
Jim uses resin from a taxidermist. It works great though, But yeah, for a guy who does taxidermy,
Really?
yeah. Hmm.
I know nothing about taxidermy.
I don't either, but I just know the resin comes from it that he uses.
But there is a company that I use, it's in Wajack, Michigan. I don't have the website right now, but I can put it on to Jim's Facebook page if they want, anybody wants to check it out.
That'd be great. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I'll put it to your, MMR page?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay, I'll try to do that later tonight.
okay.
2, you can comment on if you go to the website and you go to the post about this meeting,
Okay,
you can comment and leave it there for everybody that travels in the future.
okay, will do.
Kind of like that weird police box.
Okay.
One of the things of that that I wound up doing, I'm in the process of doing, is because there's like a small gaming shop that's only 10 minutes from my place instead of a whole hour, and they actually have racks and racks of this particular brand called Citadel.
Yeah, it's from gaming.
Yes.
What little figures.
Yep, and I recognize that brand. I have seen that before. The Warhammer guys use it all the time because I think it was something to do with they got the color codes or something.
No, Warhammer makes Citadel.
Oh, Warhammer makes Citadel?
Yep.
Now the thing is that it has a cute name for this particular color. If you can actually see it, I guess it's called Flesh.
Yeah.
Because it's green. It's like, wait, how is flesh green? Okay.
Orcs, I don't know. Warhammer is one of those things I tried to comprehend, and it hurts my head. To be totally honest with you, makes my head spin. I'm like, okay, as interesting as it is, wow, is that world dark? I mean, every single time you look at something, it's, oh, the world's ending.
That's what I wound up using for but actually for both stations, using that oddly named colored paint and all that. Another thing is that I'm also trying to learn is actually, if you look behind my the red thing there is actually a 3D printer. resin 3D printer, which I'm in the process of, learning on how to do. And one of the things I'm having issues is with scale, but I have sort of designed a test piece on how to do basically an observation. So I'm trying to figure it out what all the curves are and all that. It's basically very simple, very simple circles that are chopped up and all that.
Well, it looks pretty good though.
Yeah, and I like it, but the thing is, this is supposed to be HO scale. So,
Okay.
as I said, I got a slight problem with scale.
Yeah.
What are you using for a CAD program?
Well, the thing is, originally, when I first got into 3D printing, I was at a makerspace, and they had the MakerBot, the ones that use the filament, and I was using what was called OpenSCAD, which is more of what they call command line style printing. So you're sort of you're using a programming language, but your variables are actual shapes instead of just a single number and all that, which was fine for doing some things, but now that I'm trying to do something that's a little bit more delicate and all that, I'm in the process of trying to learn FreeCAD and get something along those lines, because of the little models that novelty models I'm trying to make and all that, which at first, the hardest thing was trying to find a decent bottom for it and try to figure out how to do a bottom where everything's all nice and straight and all that. And I wound up coming across I don't know what vintage it is, but this is a Mantua bobber caboose chassis, I guess. The entire thing's made out of die cast, so that I'm assuming this is probably in the 70s or something like that. And
or older.
Or older. And the thing is to build the rest of the little car up on this, and then as a prototype to say, okay, this is what it's going to look like and all that. Now, then after this, try to figure out how to actually make it into something that's reproducible. And I think, well, I mean, I got a lot more better buildings and all that, but it seems that since something that I thought was going to take a real short time is taking a lot longer and all that, I'll pass it on to the next person.
All righty, well, thanks, Ed. That was pretty enlightening. It's good seeing what happens with the models that I send out.
Chris, let me ask you a question.
What's that?
Let me ask a question before you get somebody else.
All right.
Has anybody heard of a company called True Earth Paints and Weathering Products? It's an Italian company.
Name rings a bell for some reason. Can't exactly place why.
Yeah, I think it's been talked about on here.
Well, there's True Color, which is a company in Arizona that has an acetone based, but
No,
that's
this is-
different.
This is True Earth. They're big in military modeling, model airplanes, that kind of thing. I've only seen one freight car on their site. So I don't think that model railroading has really heard much about their product. They're out of Italy. And I found them, and I just wondered if anybody had any experience with them.
Yeah, I got nothing.
Guess not.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Chris,
Yep. All right,
This falls on.
Greg, you're up next. I'm sorry, Paul, were you saying something?
you got me on your list for show and tell?
I can throw you in there. Let's see. Right now, up next we've got Greg, and then Rich, and then Bill Davis. And then I can put you after Bill Davis.
Okay. Thanks.
Yep. All right, so Greg, I'll turn it over to you.
Alrighty, and mine's pretty short. Let me get the share up. If you all can see that, those are blueprints of a Pennsylvania Railroad standard scale house. Most of my stuff I build in HO. I've done a little bit of O scale. A friend of a friend has an O scale layout and was interested in getting a scale house like this built for his layout. We got the blueprints and oh, it won't step for me. Hold on a second. Okay, there. Can you see that? We also
Now we can just see the thumbnails.
Oh, okay. Let me.
Yeah, click on something.
So go back to where you were.
Okay, are they changing now?
Yep, now they are.
Okay. I thought I had this open originally, but it wasn't changing. We also found some drawings from an old model railroader that had been put out. So this gave us something to build upon in building this. We have some pictures that were taken. This particular one is in Mount Union, Pennsylvania, where the EBT meets the Pennsylvania Railroad. And this is the one that he said, let's use that one for a standard to go by. One of the features of it is the siding is not clapboard siding, it's novelty siding, which is a little different and also very difficult to find in O-scale sizing in wood, but we did find it in evergreen plastic. So I'm building a wooden structure with plastic siding. After I got most of my materials together, one of the things I realized that will really make it look right is having the windows correct, and nobody had pre-made windows for that. So I got a hold of Steve Milley at Rail Scale Models, and he cut me up a set of windows plus a little trim that goes over the windows there. And I did a bunch of printouts at 100% and started working off of those, trying to get all my angles right. And I started from the base working up and started putting floor joists in. Once I got all the floor joists done, I put a floor on it and then started working on the walls. And I've got a back wall and I painted the windows. For some reason they use red on their windows, even though they use a buff and a dark brown for the rest of the building. And started making the side walls. And that's where I'm at right now. That'll fit on the back and one of the sides. Then I just need to build 4 more walls and put all the siding on it and then build a roof. But that's as far as I've gotten with it so far.
That looks good.
That's a
right?
pretty neat looking little shanty for a crossing shack, actually.
Yeah, well, this was a scale house that they would put in their yard where they would weigh the locomotives, all that, those weights and stuff underneath it. And over there on the right, it shows the car being weighed. And he's going to have a little mock-up of a scale track in front of the building once I get it to him.
That'll be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
So I'm all done, Chris.
Alrighty, well, thanks. That was thought I saw pictures of that before. I think you shared those with me, and I'm just blown away by what you've done with that already. I mean, you take something small and make a big project out of it.
Well, the biggest difficulty with that particular one is having to use evergreen plastic siding. It's kind of thick, and where the walls would have been built out of 2x4, and I've got scale 2x4, I couldn't use it because the walls would be too thick. So I'm actually building them out of 2x3s. But once I have the cladding on the inside and the outside, nobody can tell. So, except I'll know.
Yeah.
Sand your siding down then from the backside.
I kind of thought about that, and I thought of all the possibilities of getting that so wrong.
No.
All right, so if Greg is finished, we'll go on to Richard. You ready there, Richard?
Yeah, I can share something here if you don't mind. So you guys know that I'm N scale, and you guys know that I like to do 3D printing. You might be seeing something at this point. Nope, you aren't. Try that. Now you might be seeing something. If you aren't, tell me, because I can't see that if I'm sharing or not.
Yep, we're seeing it now.
Yeah, we see
Okay.
it now.
So this is a couple of the designs I've created and I actually printed up. Got a little section house. I do all my designs at full scale, and this is SketchUp if you were wondering. And I put as much detail as I think I can get away with. You'll notice that my door handles are pretty lame, but once you get down to N scale, you can't tell. I do go with where I can. Let's see. I go with scale size lumber if possible. So these are 2x6s. And I do put in the roofing where it's visible.
Nice.
So that's the one. See if I can pull the other one up here. Yeah, then this is a loading dock that I've come up with. And these are scale 2x4s. This is what I was talking to Jill about last week on Wednesday night, is I can get these 2x4s to print out very nicely in N scale. I can't get anything smaller than a 2x4, unfortunately. Now you'll notice I do have nut bolt washers here. They do print in N scale. They're close to blobs, but at that size, a little dab of paint is going to get you what you need if you have good enough skills. And we'll talk about that in a minute. I do put in the boards so you can see where there's individual boards here, and the ends are chamfered.
Wow.
I figure if I
print the chamfering.
Yes, it does.
Wow.
You can just barely see it, but it's there. I over design, and there's no doubt about it. I have put in the T braces on the sides here. They do not come out in N scale. They're just not there. But if I was to print this in HO, it probably would. So that's what I am currently working on to design. Now let's see if I can stop sharing here. How the heck do you stop sharing in this?
The red up at the top.
Red up at the top. It's on the third screen. So here's the actual, I hope you can, yeah, there we can see it. I may have to turn off my,
yeah, you have to get out of the observation car.
yeah, I gotta go outside. Sorry, guys. Just a moment here. Choose virtual background, mutter. Sorry, I'm not skilled with this. Now you should be able to see me.
Now we have.
You turned off your video.
Okay.
Though.
Oh, I turned off the video. Well, why am I seeing myself?
Oh no.
Start video. There. So I don't know how well you can actually see the detail of the lines on there.
Hold it back away a little bit.
Maybe can.
A little more.
A little more. Yeah. I can see my thumbnail here, but that's I don't see the details. And you can see underneath the boards under there. The section house does actually print out fairly nicely. The problem is I don't have the skill yet. I have been building models, N-scale models for many years. We'll leave it at many years. But they've usually been the plastic models, and they've usually been, okay, I can rattle can the windows while they're still on the sprue, and they look fairly decent. unfortunately, when I try to hand paint, you get crap.
Mm.
So I need to keep working on that one. That's a skill that I need. I really want to figure out how to, like I do Shapeways, where I can get these printed. I want to figure out how to go to someplace and get the laser cut for those door frames, because that's what I need to do. Because I don't know if I'll ever be able to hand paint that door trim, and especially the little handles. I don't know if you can see them here,
Well,
but
can you 3D print that door?
What do
You
you
know,
got?
just
What if you
just
3D
the
print?
boards itself,
Yeah, just
and then
3D
put it on
print.
as an overlay?
Yeah.
to some extent, yes. But the raised panels there that are only an inch high, and in order to print that out, I just can't do that. Well, we'll see what Jill can do for me. She might be able to print where I can do just like 3D, laser cut, where you just layer the windows pieces over each other to build the 3D
Right.
the modeling. And I'll see what Jill can come up with, but I don't think I'm going to be able to do it in an economical fashion. I think she's going to want to charge me large sums of money to do that. So it appears that laser cut might be better. I'm thinking also the Cricut machines. I haven't tried actually using them yet. So.
I got a friend that has one of those, and that works really cool. It's just like doing a laser.
Yeah.
My only concern with the Cricut, because I have one, haven't used it in quite a long time because reasons. My only concern is that at N scale, doing a 2x4 might almost be too small.
That's what I'm afraid of. My cousin, who has one of these, says probably not. It probably just can't cut that width of board on cardstock, because that's what it'd have to be on, essentially, is paper or cardstock.
What type of machine you talking about? The Cricut?
Cricut.
Some people call it Cricket.
CRI.
Oh, Cricut
CUT.
cut, yeah. Oh, yeah, I've got one of them. They work great, I think. I've designed a lot of paper buildings with it. And I've actually layered up like windows and stuff like that. And even did some small corbels for buildings. Just made multiple.
You're an HO scale, right?
Yeah, HO.
Yeah, I think I can do that in horribly oversized, but in normal, it's just, I think, too small.
Once you get down to like the N scale, 2x4s, it's pretty small, and cutting a thin strip is hard to do. You could do it in probably vinyl and do multiple layers of vinyl, but they're hard to match up.
That gets pretty thick though at that.
Yeah.
Vinyl's pretty thick, isn't it? I assume.
Well, no, the thin vinyl is pretty thin.
There is another option, but you have to change companies.
What about resin impregnated paper?
Yeah, that's possible. This is, I don't know where to get it. You can see I did use the rail scale. Thank you, by the way, Mr. Jim, for having that last show you did. I was able to get the discount code and got some nice shingles from rail scale. Can you buy this stuff on your own?
Yes.
Where would you get it? Where do I get it?
Huh?
Pardon?
Take that. I'll pour this out and give you water.
I've got water.
Somebody's overbleeding. There is another machine
Much ice in the.
besides the Cricut that will print much smaller and much thicker.
Thank you.
The Silhouette, especially the new ones.
Okay.
Silhouette also connects directly through your computer, not going through a cloud-based thingy like the Brothers or the Cricuts.
Right, that's the disadvantage to the Cricut is you've got to go through their cloud or whatever.
Right, and if you do that, they get total ownership of whatever you design. They can do what they want with it. It's in.
Yeah, I've seen the Silhouettes. I've heard of them, but they seem to have a slightly lower general opinion by the world out there. So I don't know. That's why I kind of wasn't looking at them, but
The Silhouette, if the world is the people that are doing scrapbooking. And
Yeah.
Silhouette doesn't have all the oh, just print this. You actually have, what we're doing, designing it. So their disadvantage doesn't even matter to us.
Perfect. And I think
Also,
they're cheaper.
yes, they'll also cut a lot thicker paper than even the Cricut maker. They'll cut plastic. So you
Really?
can get a little thin plastic that's 1 inch in scale, whatever that is, and cut it out with the Cricut.
The Silhouette.
Very square corners by doing a slight overcut, starting again, so your two lines cross.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you get perfect squares. You don't, because it's not trying to turn. Okay.
Right.
So once you figure out the tricks, they work great. I've used one. I don't own one.
Okay.
But
I think I know what I'm asking for Christmas.
Unlike me, since you do in scale, you can just use the standard size one. I'm waiting for the double X to come out next January because some of my models are in 1:35, and an 85-foot passenger car in 1:35 is very long. You do not want
the reason
3D printed unless you buy one of those huge things.
Yeah. So
anyway, yeah.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
It's
Chris?
just another option that does a little bit better job. Might be, don't know if it would be better suited than a Cricut because I've never used one.
Okay.
Well, the only thing I've used is a Cricut. And I don't know about the Silhouette, but I know the Silhouette's similar the way it cuts, but I'm not, but I got the Cricut basically to, design paper buildings and stuff. Well, actually, I wanted to cut like, balsa wood and stuff like that, but the original one don't cut balsa wood too good. Now the maker,
pressure.
Yeah, right. The maker will cut it better, they claim, because it uses an actual knife, like a X-Acto knife. But they're $350,
Yeah. The Silhouette, the small Silhouette's cheaper than the maker, and it has more downward pressure. I don't have the numbers in my noggin, but I just know it was more. Now that's
does the Silhouette have a knife, or does it use a blade?
Well, it has both.
Okay.
Put in it, but the old Silhouettes are somewhere in between the regular Cricut and the maker.
Right.
The new ones actually have a lot of pressure, and they're making. I think they've got an 18-inch out now, and the last one they make is going to be 20-something inches wide.
That's the Silhouette.
Yeah, they got. It's the same version. They're just wider than each other.
Wider, okay, right. Because big as you can do on Cricut is 12 by 24.
Yeah. Well, with the Silhouettes, you can put a roll on there, so it'll print if you've got 3 feet, 4 feet.
Right,
long, it'll print it. I don't know what scale that would be, but.
Like both machines have probably got their good and bad, I suppose.
Yeah, it's too bad they don't have model railroader only reviews of those things. Because we are the minority users of them. They are scrapbooking toys.
Yeah, well, I did pretty good with some even plastic on there. Thinner plastic. Cut out some plastic letters and cut out some heavy cardstock with it. And I tried laser board. It don't cut that too good because laser board is pretty hard.
Well, you got the wrong knife and you probably don't have enough pressure, not
Right.
pressure, but
Yeah.
cut pressure. Yeah. The Silhouette is like a Consumer Pro. It's a much heavier machine than,
Yeah.
I haven't used a Maker. I don't know what it's got, what it can cut.
Well, they claim it's a lot heavier, you know, and has a lot more pressure than, you know, the original, downward pressure, yeah.
Have one is pushing the blade. That's what I don't know about either one of them.
Yeah. Well, definitely the Maker's heavier than the original Cricket, but by how much, I don't know. I just haven't wanted to spring for another $350, you know, to find out. But,
the honeydew list to get that much money out of the treasurer.
right.
Yeah, good luck with that.
So, thank you all. Chris, I can let you take it back.
All righty. Well, thanks much, Rich. That was some neat stuff. Thanks for sharing. Next up, we've got Bill Davis.
Hi, guys.
Before you get going on Bill, I've got to head out. It's been a great evening. I enjoyed it and hope to join in on the next build.
Fantastic. Thanks for coming.
All right. Thanks, Paul. Yep. We'll squeeze you in next time. I promise.
All right, yeah, maybe I could do something on showing some paper buildings and some on the Cricket stuff I've done. I can put together a little presentation.
Sounds good.
Cool.
Take care, guys.
All right.
You
Have a good one.
too.
Yep.
All right, guys. I need to do the share screen.
Share away.
Oh, there it is. Okay. Let's see. What am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong, Dylan?
I don't know. Are you pressing the button?
I pressed the button and it come up with you and just desktop.
Try a bigger hammer.
There you go. There it is. All right. Well, I built a couple models recently for review that I'm doing for O-scale trains. I read a column and I do reviews for O-scale trains. And so I thought I'd share some with them. This first one I'm going to share with you, some guy named Dylan created this kit. I don't know if you guys know him or not, but anyway.
Well, I can't claim all the credit. Tom York did do some
well,
really
I was going
good
to say,
work with
yeah,
it.
he did some nice work on it too. Anyway, this is my version of Dylan's latest kit. So I'm just going to go through some pictures here.
Nice and crusty.
Well, it is a junkyard dog.
Yep.
One thing I want to share about the thing here is you notice the open doors and how they're all grunged up. One of the things when I did my talk, why is this not changing? Let's see. When I did my talk, I talked about how I share my models with people that in my little modeling circle. And I shared these pictures with Dylan, and Dylan took them to, I think the guy's name is Kevin.
Yep, Kevin Maycomber.
Yeah, and he looked at the thing and says, "Real nice, but the doors are too clean." And I went, "Yeah, right. I didn't weather the doors." so that's what they looked like before. And this would look like now. And
might have lost them.
You can see that it's a much nicer.
You need to wash that locomotive.
I don't wash.
Bill,
no.
What frame did you use, Bill?
Pardon me?
What frame did you use?
Frame? You mean for power?
No, the outside frame. What did you use?
That's part of Dylan's kit. Wait a minute. Stop.
Okay. The reason I'm asking, in the plan you sent me, yeah, there it is. Go back one.
Is that the one you want, Dylan?
No, not the yellow one.
Oh,
San
wait, wait,
Diego and
no,
Arizona.
we
The
haven't
standard
got,
gauge
we
one.
haven't got to that yet. We haven't got to that yet.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Okay, so this is just some more views of Dylan's model kit. And as you said, it definitely needs a bath, which it's not gonna get. One of the things I like is, one of my favorite railroads is the Arkansas Lime Company, and they loved hooks and pins and grabs and stuff like this. And I mean, they used Lincoln pin couplers and they still chained the cars together, which I never could quite figure out why they did that. But anyway, so I added all these little hooks and stuff to it to give it that kind of look, like the Arkansas Lime had. Now, I ordered some extra parts from Dylan, and I wanted to try to build one now in standard gauge. And as you can see, the standard gauge version is a little bit different than the narrow gauge version. It's got the side steps and the side doors, and so it's going to require some kit bashing and some modifying of the frame. And I think, Jim, you asked that. I'm going to use Dylan's frame and just add to the top of it and cut the hole in it.
Let me ask you, what is the hole for?
I have no clue. Access to the chain, I'm assuming.
Yeah, because there is one traction motor on that, and then the other axle is hooked up with a chain.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Why
So-
it was on the narrow gauge version, I don't know, but
Made the prototype?
Porter.
yeah, that's a prototype. That's in Arizona. That's in San Diego area. Campo Museum has it, and it's a standard gauge version of it. So I thought I'd take a shot at trying building one in standard gauge. It's a lot different than the narrow gauge version. It's got 4 doors on it on the side there, if you notice, and I think it's a little shorter by about 6 inches or so. It's got the handrails on the side of it and the steps and like I said, the side doors. And I think it's gonna be a fun conversion. I'm gonna look forward to butchering Dylan's parts. Anyway, so
Nice.
that's that.
I'm curious, what method did you use for the rust on the model?
I use a lot of military techniques, modeling techniques. And what I did was I sprayed the model with a reddish brown color and did some chalk weathering after that. And then I sprayed part of it I sprayed the whole thing with hairspray.
Okay.
And then, but I also sprinkled it with salt. You wet it and then you put rock salt on it. And so to get that spackly effect and also the scratch on the side of that was all done actually with salt. And then to achieve the area where the white is showing through from the primer and the part of the top, that was actually where I took a brush and a wet brush and worked off the paint, because the hairspray doesn't allow it to stick real well. And I guess once it dries, it'll stick, but you can go back and brush it back out again. So it's a combination of those two designs to do that. As far as the grunge in the door, that is actually MIG or AK Interactive. I can't remember which one it is. Engine grime, and I just washed it on the bottom of the doors there and hit with a little bit of chalk to get the grungy effect.
Very nice.
Same thing around the journals. That's also AK engine grime and stuff. A friend of mine's using a company that's 502 and it starts with an A and I can't pronounce the word. It's a Tickalung or something. I don't know. It's weird. It's a weird name, but they have a color called Starship Grime, and apparently it's real good for doing that same effect on there.
How do you get grime on a starship?
I don't. Well, no, I'm sorry. It's not grime. It's filth. Starship filth. That's what it is. You're right. I don't know how you do that. It's a good question.
Space is not empty, regardless of people's conceptions.
This is true. This is
Ever
true.
seen a Klingon?
That's true. Yeah. Well, they just weren't good housekeepers. That's all for them.
Bill, what material are you using to build your O scale one?
I'm going to be using styrene for probably most of it, and whatever material that Dylan had that other stuff cast out of that doesn't like styrene glue.
How do you build your window?
Sorry, Dylan.
No, it is what it is.
I mean, hey, no, the material used is awesome. It's very, very smooth and, it's excellent. I mean, those are some of the nicest castings I've ever worked with. To be real
Well,
honest
I think
with you.
that comes down to the guy who did it. Because Bruce is just that good.
Yeah, he is amazing. I think
Like,
credit where
seriously, there's a
due.
reason I use him for castings.
Mhm.
He, don't get me wrong, there are other guys I work with for castings too, and they do great.
Mhm.
With Bruce, however he does it, I don't have to worry that the model is going to fit together right. I don't have to worry about the parts warping.
Yep.
It just fits together, and I don't have to worry about it.
And as I wrote in the review, there was very little flash. The most flash I had to clean off on your castings was opening the window openings up.
Yeah, no, I'll agree with that. All the cabs I saw, that out of every part, most flash we really had was on the cabs.
That's it.
Which in the grand scheme of things, that's not too bad.
That's not bad. And actually having flash in the windows is very, very common. So that's not anything. But I remarked about that. These things are extremely clean castings and stuff. And I didn't have, I mean, you had a hole in one of your sand things. None of my parts had holes or anything.
Really?
Yeah. I didn't have to fill any. The only thing I had to fill it all in the thing is when I assembled the hood.
Oh yeah, all the seam lines.
I filled the seam lines in, which looking at this standard gauge version of it here, I guess I could have not had to do that. Because you can see
that's a
seam
good
lines.
point, because it's all seams, but it's all flush too.
Yeah, that's the thing. There were flush seams, and the other one wasn't quite as flush. But anyway, Dylan, it's an amazing kit. I know that Tom did the original design, but you did a lot of really nice things to make it even better.
Woo!
Yeah, so I'm really glad I got to build one of them. I'm glad I got to review it, and I gave you a really nice review.
Bill, how are you gonna make your windows for the O-scale one?
Well, I'm going to use Dylan's cab, so I have the windows that way. And as far that's one thing you didn't put in the kit, by the way, Dylan, I didn't mention in the review, is there's no glass.
Yeah, to be fair, I hadn't even thought of doing glazing with it.
Yeah,
That's the one thing that it totally slipped my mind.
It would be nice if they were even laser cut to fit.
Yeah, I think because I have the CAD files for the cab, I could probably just take measurements, and for future kits, I could just have Steve and Millie just cut me some acetate. Doesn't need to be perfect, because some of these windows are the frames are thin. You're not going to get an acrylic window into it.
No, you're not.
It's not like some of my other kits that I'm doing that I have acrylic windows that you press in. Like I'm looking at the prototype I built right now, and problem is those window frames are inset for a reason.
Right.
It's so that it has the look of an open window. Problem being, you'd have to put glass, either that or you'd have to find like microscope glass or something like that.
I got tons of it. I used to work in a hospital.
And of course, because of how thin these frames are, putting that in the glazing in is going to be a bear. So acetate will probably be the best solution.
Probably, yeah.
Just so that way there's something there. And,
right. Exactly.
You could trim acetate a hell of a lot easier than you could if you were trying to cut glass or acrylic. You could cut it with scissors.
Yeah. Well, I have to admit that I've had most of this microscope glass for years, and I've never been able to cut it without cracking it.
I don't think you're the only person in that boat.
I'm sure I'm not. Anyway, that's my. Hopefully, it'll get here by tomorrow, Dylan. And we'll see. My mail guys are so good that they were delivering mail last night at 10 o'clock at my house.
Really? I like my post office, but even they're not that good.
Yeah, I come home I had a meeting last night, and I come about 9:30, and I got 6 mail trucks running through my neighborhood dropping mail off. It's like, really? It's like 10 o'clock at night. Going, okay.
Well, if you give me a sec, I can even pull the tracking and just see right where it is.
I'm not worried about it.
The other night we had a postal carrier drop off mail at 7:30. It was just the regular mail. So I'm wondering, did they have some layoffs or something with the post office?
I don't know, but at 10 o'clock at night to be running around the neighborhood dropping mail. And my buddy who went to the same meeting I went to, I talked to him this morning. He goes, yeah, they were at my neighborhood too, doing the same thing. I'm like, really? What the heck's going on here? So I don't know what's going on.
I think part of it's the social distancing thing in the post office buildings. They don't all the stations can't be manned like they used to be, so the sorting is slower.
There's been a lot of cutbacks of staff, et cetera, in the past few years because the post office hasn't been, it hasn't been profitable at the cost levels it's charging. And so it's a challenge because it has to provide service in a lot of areas that are very uneconomic at the rate structure.
Right.
It's kind of like rural electricity and rural telephony in that you kind of end up, or if you want to talk about Amtrak and long distance trains, it's all kind of the same discussion about, how much is it run as a business, where if you're run as a business, you say, I'm not going to deliver to this set of homes. If you live out in rural Arkansas, you're not going to get any more mail because you're not economic. Or, do we make that mandatory? But then you can't expect them to compete with private business that doesn't have the mandate of having to serve the entire population. And this is the conundrum of private public competition. It's actually a fairly complicated problem.
Right. You talk about rural Arkansas. I lived in rural Arkansas, and I actually did a mail route part-time in Arkansas. I covered the guy that had when he wasn't there, I covered for him. And invariably, I could never get back to the post office in time to meet the post office truck.
Right.
And so this one day, I'm just way behind, and I think had this one guy lived like a half a mile down a road. He never got mail. He never sent mail. So I said, I'm going to blow him off. I'll gain 15 minutes, 20 minutes. I get back to the post office, and the post mistress goes, "Come here. Did you stop at all your stops?" I says, "No, I didn't stop at the guy that, that like this described." He says, "Because he never has mail. He never sends mail. He did today."
Well, I know that if we have the informed email we get early in the morning. And I noticed that the guaranteed delivery is now 9 p.m. instead of 7 p.m.
Right. So moving on here. So Tom York, since we're talking about Tom York things, he came out with a kit to do a little caboose on a Lionel disconnect car, and he did a couple tanks to go on the other disconnect. So you buy a pair of Lionel disconnects, you get to build this little caboose body, and they put these tanks on the other one. Well, I reviewed this kit for Tom, and I was no intention of buying a Lionel caboose, so I used Tom's pilot model pictures, and then I built them into these. And so it's a little fuel facility and a little tool shed or office or whatever you want to call it. So, and everything is resin except for the framework. The tanks are resin, the body is resin, so the little toolbox is resin, but the rest of the wood is all wood. And the same thing with the supports underneath and the awning over the shed.
Thanks, Bill.
Now, our buddies at Interactive Hobbies sent me this kit to assemble and do a review on. This is a tool shed that was on the Canadian Pacific Railroad. As you know, Interactive Hobbies is in Canada. Everything in this kit is laser cut except for a few pieces which are 3D printed. Everything you see you get with the kit, including the screen on the windows. The hinges, the lock and the latch was all laser cut. The handle I added was just a piece of wire. But anyway. And the backside, I did a dry brush to get the weathered effect, and then I did a dab effect to get the white to look the way it looks.
What scale is that?
O scale. Everything I do is O scale.
Okay, just wondered.
Yeah. Yeah, I got hooked. I got hooked in the early 70s in O scale, and I never escaped.
By the way, on their website, they also have an interior kit for this.
Does it look like that?
Yeah. No, I thought they had a more complete interior kit that had a workbench and some other stuff to go in it.
It's coming.
Okay, yeah, no, it's
yeah,
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. So anyway, this kit is the interior kit. He gives you all the parts to frame it, except for the part I did framing on the upper parts of the end walls. Actually, he just gives you a truss for that, but I thought this should be framed. I'm an old carpenter, so I like framing. But the cool thing about this kit is, and really clever, is laying out the framing. I saw like one of the guys showed the wall that he was framed out, was doing the scale house, and he had it all laid out. Well, he gives you a template that you glue on the wall, and then you frame over the template. And as you can see, it doesn't show when you're finished. So that was really, really cool. This is the tool, the workbench, and the cabinet. I very carefully cut a couple of drawer faces out and made them so they were open, which Gerald thought was really cool. But I just thought that a little extra detail like that would be kind of cool to do. And so that gives you an idea about the drawers being open. And some of these things, like they look a little rough in the pictures. Cameras are very cruel. The box is just looks supposed to look like a box, and there's just some other just little. These are the bottles are 3D printed. The cans are just pieces of dowel. All things, everything came in the kit except for the block that is made into a box. All this stuff was in the kit as well.
So that's all those individual tools and stuff.
Yep.
Aren't cast in place.
No, those are all 3D printed. No, they're all laser cut. Excuse me. The stove is 3D printed, and the stove is really cool because the stove has a hole through the bottom there. So I'm going to be able to go back in there and add a flickering fire inside. So that's why I'm on it with the door open. And he also put a lighting set there, and you can see a pipe in the left back corner, and that's how I'm going to add the wiring for the lighting system.
Nicely done.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Very nice.
And that's it. The rope was just some. Years ago I found some thread that looked like rope or wire cable if you paint it the right color. And so I've used it on my donkey engines and all kind of stuff like that to make it look like cable or like in that case, a rope and stuff. So that wasn't provided in the kit, but he suggested doing that. And so I did it. Tying a rope like that together in O-scale is a real trick, let me tell you. Anyway, that's pretty much it, guys. It's back to you, Chris.
So by the way, just a comment on rope. There's a place called Ages of Sail in San Lorenzo here by us, and they sell mainly ship kits. And they sell a whole bunch of different kinds of ropes because of the ship models that use all that for the rigging. So I went and I got a couple of spools of different diameters ropes. I'm building a pier, and it's a great place to get rope if you're looking for rope.
Cool. Yeah, there was another company, I don't know if they're still around or not, but they made ship parts, and they had a lot of really cool parts that worked really great for railroads. And they were all like, most all of them were white metal casting type stuff. And I'm drawing a blank on the name of the company right now. It was like,
Bill, if you can remember it, could you send me an email?
Sure.
Thank you.
But they had, like hooks, and they had, pulleys and all kind of things in O scale and maybe even smaller. I don't know, because ship modelers do all kind of different scales. But it's really cool stuff.
So yeah, I needed some block and tackles, and I bought a bag of wood ones. I think it were 30 for $3.
Right. Yeah, that's the other thing too. It was really inexpensive stuff. I haven't bought anything. I haven't seen or bought anything from them since 2011 when we were traveling and stuff. Somebody mentioned Tamiya paint. The stove is painted with Tamiya paint, and it's a metal looking color, and it's probably the most stove looking color I've seen. I've done a lot of things with black and stuff like this and grays and stuff, but it actually has a metallic look like a stove would have. So anyway, that's pretty much it. Oh, the other thing too is the windows are dirty intentionally. They are not because I'm a sloppy modeler. I actually intentionally get them look dirty like that.
I was wondering that about your tool bench. Are you that sloppy, or was that intentionally those paint spills?
Those are intentional paint spills. I have a whole bunch of other details in my detail bin that now this has been done and the review is written. Once I know for sure that O Scale Trains is happy with my pictures, stuff like this, I'm going to add a whole bunch of other tools and miscellaneous things around here and a vise and a few other things around the building and add the lighting unit and all that and stuff. He provided like an LED, like the square LED lights, but I'm going to do some shades with the lights going through like that, so they look like a prototype lens instead of just a light in the roof.
Are the tools individual tools, or are they just on part of the 3D printed model?
They're all individual. They're all laser cut and they're all individual.
That's
What was the name of that company again?
Interaction Hobbies, and they have HO stuff and they have O Scale stuff.
Yeah.
If you guys are an HO scale, they got a lot of HO.
Aren't they doing aren't they in the train show, Jim?
Yeah.
They were in the last one too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice people to talk to.
Yeah, Daryl's a great guy. I did a review of his O Scale 1911 Model T kits, which were all laser cut, and he does some really, really clever things to produce these kits. You know, like I said, giving you a framing template was really, really cool. And there's another thing he did in here. I'm trying to remember what it is off the top of my head, and I'm drawing a blank. That was a really clever idea for how he put things together. Oh, when he gave you the sub roof, he had it all engraved for the lines for the shingles. So when you're laying the shingles out, they come out straight. I don't know if you guys have tried to shingle a roof or lay your own lines out for shingling a roof, but it can be a real pain. But he does really, really clever different things when he's putting a kit together. I'm very impressed with the company.
So the interior walls there, did you put in, is that like black paper that you put on the interior walls, or to simulate?
Yes, what he told you to do in the kit is to paint the walls dark gray. But
Right.
I have a bunch. You remember back in the day when we actually took pictures and they weren't digital, and we put them in sleeves and put them in books or notebooks, and they had a sleeve that was a plastic cover with a black sheet inside of it. Well, anyway, that black sheet makes great tar paper, and I have a bunch of those sheets left over. So, yeah, I ended up cutting actual tar paper for the walls to have it be, instead of just painting it gray. But other than close-up pictures, you can't tell. So
Right.
it was a lot of extra work for basically no reason, but it looks nice and I like it.
Hey, Jim, if I get a chance to show some pictures, I'll show that I have some walls to do interiors on. I'm figuring out that's an interesting option that works for certain things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sure there's other kind of black paper, black craft, thin craft paper you can get like that. But what I like about that paper that on those old photo sleeves, and you probably find them if you look around hard enough for them, is it actually has got a texture. And as an old construction guy, I know what tar paper feels like and looks like, and it looks like tar paper. You know, the way the texture is and stuff and the color. Anyway, guys, that's it. Unless you got any more questions.
Possibly, were you referring to Seaport Model Works earlier? We were talking about places to get castings.
Could be. I remember I found them. I found them in, well, they used to be really available back in the 70s and 80s, but we were in someplace. Where was that? I don't know. We traveled so many places, and we spent a year just traveling the country. Anyway, I was in this hobby shop, and up on the second floor they had a layout, and I got up on the second floor and they had this whole wall display thing, which probably about, I don't know, 18 inches wide by about 2 feet high, of all these different packages of all these different ship parts. Yeah, so.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah, that's one thing, I mentioned this when I did my talk. That I've seen guys go on a thing and they're looking for a certain part. I'm looking for a model railroad part so-and-so. Well, it doesn't have to be a model railroad part. It just gotta be the right part. You know, but there's guys, it has to be a model railroad part. Well, no, it doesn't. It can be, you know, anything as long as it's the right part for what you need.
Yeah, that's common too. You got people that are in SN3 or ON30 and they want a building and they're like, well, it's not ON30.
Yeah, right, exactly.
O scale. Any O scale will work.
Yeah.
Black paper, construction paper, would that work?
Sure, sure, if it's thin enough. This stuff is the same thickness as it's slightly thicker than a regular printer paper of the day.
Yeah, I'm familiar with it. I still got my camera. I haven't taken out of the camera bag in years, but
Oh yeah, well, same thing here. I still have my Nikon and stuff.
So I've done the black paper, black construction paper you buy at Michael's, and you cut it into strips, and then you take sandpaper and sand the edge to feather it. And I'd be interested to see how different that looks from this.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Like I said, I've got about 2 or 3 sheets left of it, so I'm kind of hanging on to it because I'm running out of it. But anyway,
there's got to be something out there, and that's another example. If we were to look for paper for this kind of purpose in the scrapbook section of Michael's,
you'd probably find it.
They probably are something very similar.
Yep, absolutely.
And it'd be black, unlike construction, school construction paper.
Right, exactly.
I bought some art black paper, a package, I think 50 sheets at Michael's and I got the 40% off coupon. I think it was $6 or $7.
I love the 40% off coupon. They're down to 25 now.
Yeah. But I mean, in some ways, it's enough sheets that it's a lifetime supply of tar paper roofing for me, I think.
Right, exactly. Exactly. All right, Chris.
If you could give back screen share or stop your screen share for us. Thanks. That was pretty impressive. In fact, I think everybody's been pretty impressive tonight. I'm just blown away by the responses that we've had tonight. So I want to thank everybody for pitching in. This is really what it's all about, is you guys and sharing what you've got. That being said, I know Phil talked about sharing, but
next week
I've got Fred on the list. So Phil, you mind if we put you off and you'll start out the next one?
No worries.
And what's that?
No worries.
Okay, perfect. All right, so we'll turn it over to Fred, and we'll have him be our last presenter tonight. Fred?
Yep, working on it.
All right.
While you're working on that, Fred. Hey, Dylan, I got a question.
All right, shoot.
How do you save the chat?
Usually it saves automatically to the host.
Oh, okay. But I mean, there's no way after we leave the meeting, I can't get back into it again.
Actually, the easiest way to do it is if you go in right now into the chat, use your mouse and click up at the top and just hold it down and just scroll through. You'll copy everything in chat and you can paste it into a document and keep it.
Okay, cool.
If you get it now before it goes away.
Right.
Okay, you see that?
Oh,
yes. Yes.
Oh, good.
That's cool.
Okay, this is the box. I picked up a couple of kits at a show, and I thought that was a cute little station. So ended up building it, but it said they had 2 fronts, 2 backs, and 2 ends. So I said, well, gee, that's pretty small for a station. So I took the extra pieces and made it into a freight house besides.
Oh, wow.
And then I gave it a whole new deck around because it did come with a deck. So that's all out of plastic struck.
Oh, that came out really nice.
This is the other side. And this side, I had to turn it around, get the light on it. But this side of the wooden area is curved to match up with the track. There's a straight track on one side of the station, and then there's a curved track going back matching up. Also, since it was so close to the edge of the layout, I had to do the interior. So I put in the wainscoting, the trim around the doors, a new wall dividing the building and that. So this is the passenger section. And this is the freight section, also done with wainscoting and all the wood around the doors and everything. So gave it a rough look. You know, it's a freight house. Who don't need a paint job every year like passenger section. And of course, add in the ticket window there to hand packages back and forth. So, yeah, it came out pretty good. I was pretty happy with that. I still want to see about putting in a potbelly stove with the flickering light in it, and get some boxes in there. But so far, so good. And this is on the ON30 section of the layout, Dylan.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
Hey, Fred, is that a scribed wall on the left?
That's plexi, you know, plastic strip.
Okay.
That I carved lines in.
Okay, cool.
So
That
that
looks really
gave me
good.
the wainscoting. So it was all done that way.
Wow.
All piecemeal like that.
Wow. So you carved your own wainscoting?
Yeah. Yeah.
You're a better man than me. I would have went with evergreen.
Sorry. Whatever is handy. So yeah, it came out pretty good, I thought. So I got to put this piece at the other end yet, and I'm debating whether it needs posts to support the extension on the roof. But that's a good place for people sit there on the bench and keep out of the weather. So you can see how the track here curves, starts curving back to the straight track here. So
I've got some curved pieces that would look good on that coming around under your eave there. They're white metal castings.
yeah,
I could send them to you if if you want.
terrific.
I won't use them, so
Beautiful. I'll get you the address and that.
Okay.
How's that?
Well, let me find them first.
Yeah, find them first.
They're in one of my box of parts.
Yeah, I know how that goes. Love putting things up, and then I forget where up is.
Exactly.
So,
And the younger I get, there seems to be more of a problem.
yeah. Like I say, age is a wonderful thing if you can put up with it.
Exactly.
So irritating, spend half your time looking for the tool that you just set down, and it grew legs and walked away. So
Yep.
hate chasing them.
And we won't mention walking into a room and not knowing why you went there.
Yeah, well, that's called exercise.
Yeah, because you got to go back to square one to find out
That's
why you
right.
went.
Go back. Oh yeah, that's what I wanted. Oh shoot.
The tool that you're looking for is not lost. It's under the instructions.
Yeah, no, not in this case.
Yeah, you don't read those.
My sister called me one day, and she says, "How you doing? You know, this has been a terrific day." She said, "It has. What happened? It was so good." I said, "You know, I set the tool down and I turned around and came back. It was still there. None of them ran off today. I'm just thrilled."
Oh, that's great.
So what was the maker of that kit?
What was that?
Americraft or something,
Yeah, American,
American
O-scale. Let me, I think I got the. I thought I brought it up.
It was in one of the
Give me a minute,
photos.
I'll be right back.
Is it American Craft or
Something like that.
Here it is. It's American Town.
That's it, American Town.
Yeah, Old Gauge Railroading produced them. I don't know if they're still available or not.
Okay, thanks.
But I got the general store too, which did the same thing. Put in a new floor, added display area. It needs to be finished up too. But they're a nice little kit. And they must have been reasonable in price. I'm thrifty.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, that actually reminds me a lot of the, I've got a Downtown Deco Fallberg station. Actually, I've got 3 of them.
Oh.
And I've got the one built. I liked it so much, I bought 2 more. In fact, I think if you go to Dr. Ben's, he now carries them. But it's just such a neat little kit that it's very reminiscent of the one that you just did. And I think it's got a lot of endearing qualities. Like you can do a lot of things like you just showed us. You can do a lot of things with it. So
yeah, well, that's the drawback. The larger the scale, the more detail you have to do to it to make it look good. Where you get down to N scale, you don't need to do any of that kind of interior work. So scale has its advantages and it has its disadvantages. So pick your poison.
yes, indeed. Alrighty, any further questions for Fred?
You said that was on the ON 30 section of the layout. What else you got going on, Fred?
Well, I have old scale 2 rail.
Oh, okay.
And it comes into the same location. It's has an interchange where they can transfer cargo from the standard gauge to the narrow gauge. And I have a upper railroad that is a logging railroad. It brings the logs down to a lower level to the main line. And the main line takes it over to another location, interchanges with the 3rd narrow gauge operation that takes it down to the river where it loads up the river boats and interchanges cargo there. So have a reason for these railroads to operate.
Cool.
So,
cool.
Yeah. And then I have a separate old scale live overhead trolley line. Actually, it was the first thing that got moved into the house and first thing set up. And it's based loosely on the interurban South Shore down South Bend going into Chicago. And it was real funny. The family not only gave me the layout, but they gave me the cars that went with it. And one of the cars, the South Shore in the 40s, stretched part of the fleet to make larger capacity. And they took and put in like 17 extra feet using former dining cars and parlor cars that weren't used anymore. They basically cut them up and put in these parts. Well, it turns out the former owner of the layout found out he had a stretch car and it wouldn't make it around the curves. So he did the reverse process. He cut out 17 feet out of the center, glued it back together. So,
but you're running off the overhead wires?
Yeah.
Wow,
Actually,
awesome.
It's not wire. It's N scale rail flipped upside down. I
okay.
hate it. Because when you do the frogs, it's a bear to do frogs on overhead.
Is that Warren Lewis? Is that Warren Lewis's old layout? there?
Yeah, that's Warren's. Yeah.
Okay.
It's running though.
He loved that layout. He swore by that end scale overhead.
Oh yeah, and like I said, I would have put that stuff up there as such a pain. Oh,
Fred, did you get any of Harry Darsk South Shore models when he died?
that stuff got broken up pretty quick with the members that were higher in seniority. They got first pick, and by the time it got down to us new members, wasn't anything left. And part of the stuff I understand, the grandkids got the box cars, and I think there's only 2 cars, and 1 car his wife kept, and 1 car, I forget who has it, but it was part, I don't know if you was involved in the brass building car learning session.
No.
Okay, well, 3 of them got together. Harry showed how to make brass cars, how to form the roof, how to do the body and everything. So they built 3 Lakeshore Electric freight motors. And all 3 are sister cars. So they're all 3 still in existence, but they've been switched ownerships over the years. So I'm not sure who got Harry's. But
Who were the other 2 guys, Fred?
you know, I don't know. I think one was Bill Zambori. I don't know if you knew Bill or not. He came in late.
No, I know him.
Okay, and I know, I think Ted Ramsey has a car. Whether he was there modeling or not, I don't know.
I don't think so.
But I think he has one of the 3 cars, and I have one of the 3 cars.
Well, you're lucky.
Yeah, I'm thrilled. Yeah. So getting DUR stuff was pretty hard.
Yeah.
Maybe you could show this stuff off some in a future time.
Yeah, yeah. That'd be terrific. Got space. Of course, I'm coming up to a big decision here, whether I'm going to go down to Florida for the winter or not. And I'm watching the daily reports on the virus count down there, which is pretty high yet. So if I go to Florida, I won't be able to attend these meetings because I don't have internet down there. I have internet over at the public library, and they shut it off at night. I won't be able to join the meetings. I'll be able to see the meetings later on, but I won't be able to join.
You can use your phone.
Well, that's true too, if I get decent reception with it.
There is that.
Yep.
A lot of the problem with Florida, New York, other places is close proximity living. You got people living in these high-rise old age homes, not necessarily nursing homes, but you know.
Yeah.
And densely packed apartments, and it's all on one ventilation system. I don't know what they're going to do about that.
Yeah. Well, I know one of our trolley club members down there was going to attend my meeting, and I had my meeting in March, just before everything started really falling apart. And he called the night before and said, Fred, I'm sorry, I won't be able to attend your meeting tomorrow. I said, well, that's okay. He says, yeah, it's circumstances beyond my control. I said, oh, yeah, what's going on? He said, well, they shut down the whole housing deal. You're not allowed out of the housing deal. So I guess he lived in some sort of a senior apartment and they just forced everybody to stay indoors. They couldn't even go over to the next building, so.
Yeah, they shut them down like that to try to keep people out of the hallways and stuff.
Yeah.
So we have one of the guys in our ON30 modular group is actually now in a veterans home out here. And I think, and Fran, I think you know this, they shut them down, I think late March.
Yeah.
And they've been confined to their rooms since then.
Ah.
Solitary, you gotta stop and think about it, you guys. This is solitary confinement. They're in a room by themselves. Basically, they've been there for, it's 6 months. That's 6 months of solitary confinement if you're a vet in a vet hospital under care. And by the way, it's not, it's just the way it is, because if they get this into one of those hospitals, it's just going to kill lots of people. So they're just incredibly careful. But the net result is 6 months of solitary confinement.
Wow.
That would be stir crazy.
I mean, it's pretty scary, guys, if you think about it. I just can't imagine. I'm not sure I could live through that. I mean, this guy went out and he came out on the balcony and threw something down to me, and we talked from the balcony. They got a balcony at the edge of the building, but that he'd go out of his room to the building edge, but that's all they can do. They can't, there's no socialization at all.
Wow. I couldn't do that.
Yeah, no, it's pretty sad. Be thankful we're not in that environment.
Yeah.
How do you
I think everybody's getting cabin fever from this stuff, so.
Well, where are you at, Fred?
I'm just north of Detroit.
Yeah, so you'll get a pretty good winter there.
Tell me about it. I used to work for the city on the snow plow, the soft truck. So went through many a winter. Florida looks good in winter time, I tell you. I have no problem with going down Florida. But this year, it's a little shaky. Still debating on it.
Yeah, I know winter well too. I grew up in Cleveland.
Oh yeah.
I know winter.
That's worse than Detroit. You
It
guys
is.
got all that snow off of the lake there.
That's right. That lake effect that goes right into action.
Yep. Absolutely.
You know, I left Cleveland when I was 16, and I didn't go back until 2004. So that was probably about 57 or something like this at that time. And I lived in Southern California, all that, but my stepdad was dying. And so I went back to Cleveland. And when I left Cleveland in 63, it was a hellhole. I mean, they burned the river after that. It was so
Oh,
polluted
yeah.
and
River
stuff.
caught fire in that. Yeah.
So anyway, I went back to Cleveland, and I was amazed at how much they cleaned up Cleveland and made it better, but they can't fix that weather.
Yeah, that's the only problem.
I'm an officer on our board for our POA, which is similar to an HOA.
Mm-hmm.
And here, Green Valley, Arizona is a lot of retirement people.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And we're wondering how many of them are going to come back, just being able to travel or not, because not all of them go by road. They fly down here from wherever. And so we're wondering how many are going to show up and what it's going to do to, because there's a lot of economy made with all those extra people.
Well, same with Florida. They come down from New York and from Canada. Now, this year, the border is closed.
Yeah.
So you can't go Canada. They can't come over here. If they do come over here, they have to quarantine for 2 weeks. So,
Question
but I
is, who's there
heard.
to enforce it?
Pardon?
Who's there to enforce it?
Border Patrol here. Because you got a bridge and tunnel to cross to get over Canada from here.
Because that's the thing, is it seems to me once you're in the country or whatever state, because there's state to state restrictions, there is nobody there checking on you to see if you are actually quarantining.
So the one place that's not true is in Hawaii. Hawaii, they've actually arrested people. And Hawaii now, by the way, they have a new deal in Hawaii where you do the 2-week quarantine. or you can pay $500 for a test that's conducted when you arrive. And then after 2 days with a negative test, you can not quarantine. So basically for $500 back, you get 12 days of vacation. And you kind of go through, no, I'm serious. If you go through the math,
Yeah.
I mean, my son was looking at going over there because his friends, family's from there. And I was having this conversation, well, if you're going to go for 2 weeks, it's $40 a day. It's kind of like, you know, and the cost of the overall vacation, maybe it's worth it to be able to have a vacation. But it was an interesting thought that, you know, it was either 2 weeks of quarantine where if you leave the house and they catch you outside of the house, is a $5,000 fine, or a $500 test and you can get out in 2 days.
I'd take the test real quick, like.
That was kind of my reaction. If I had to go, I'd sure take the test. $500 is worth 12 days of sitting going.
Yeah.
Well, I got a friend who lives over there on the Big Island. Now she's over the ridge from all the volcanic activity, but of course her family around Pittsburgh, they were going nuts. But she's talking about they can't even go to Honolulu without going through some kind of check. Yeah, between the islands, it's segregated. So like if she needs stuff that's not available on the Big Island because it's only at the big box stores at the port, she can't go get it right now. Or the specialty doctor can't go right now.
Yep.
Crazy.
Now, I flew to Alaska, but I had to get a COVID-19 check within 3 days prior to departure. And then I had to turn that in to the receptionist when I got to Juneau.
Oh, well.
Yeah,
I've got to step off. I've got another call in a little while. I got to get something to eat. So y'all enjoy. Great talking to you.
Take
Bill,
care.
take care. Good to see you.
Hey, TC,
Yes.
you say you're in Green Valley, Arizona?
See,
When we were looking for places to consider living, we had looked at houses in Green Valley. We didn't
moved
move
down here
there.
last year.
Yeah.
Where
we
is
didn't-
Green Valley?
It's about, what, 20 miles or so out of Tucson, maybe a little farther?
Well, it's a better way to say it. It's about halfway between Tucson and the Mexican border.
Right. So maybe it's more than that. Maybe it's like, yeah.
That's 24 miles, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a town to our north called Sarita that's a lot larger town. It's got a Walmart and all that stuff in it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, we ended up not going that route, but we had considered it.
What's the draw?
The dry weather, for one thing.
It is the wettest desert in the world. No, wettest desert.
When it's monsoon season.
Yeah.
It has a monsoon season.
Even in the driest part of the year, say May, we're wetter than the Sahara. We're really a wet desert.
Okay.
There's the mountains around, so if you want to just take a half-hour drive, you can be at, 10,000 feet. Boom.
Yep.
And there's lots of federal campgrounds up there and so forth. So it's great weather. It's unincorporated.
Right.
If you shop around, there's some of the HOAs are still POAs because they're older, so they're not under the HOA law. They don't have we pay $42 a year. That's it. That's our HOA fee. 42 a year.
Okay.
Yeah, $42 a year. But the newer ones, with all the big fancy homes, well, the homes are about 2 or 3 times as much, and you're paying $100 and something a month.
Right.
So you got to shop around for those. There's a thing called Green Valley Recreation, which is by property, it's not a country club. And they've got all kinds of stuff. Of course, it's all shut down right now, but people are griping about that. But, it's got swimming pools and tennis courts and everything else. So
Gotcha.
it's a retirement community. There's no city, there's no kids, there's no schools.
Yeah.
It's all us
exactly.
old folks.
Yeah, it's a bedroom community for old folks.
Gotcha.
My son couldn't even live here till he turned 18.
Right. Right. We lived in Carolina, and then we went to back to California for a few years, and we were in a senior area, and there was no kids allowed either. Even your grandkids. I mean, they could come and stay for the night, but they couldn't stay any longer.
I think the new federal laws have changed that a little bit, because it used to be 20 something before you could live here. Now it's 18 federal law.
Right.
And I think they can stay for a week minimum.
Mm-hmm.
We've got 30 days, I think, in our bylaws, our CCNRs.
Yeah.
But that's it. I mean, if you want to have your grandkids over, they're only going to stay a little while anyway before you want to send them home.
Well, this is very true, but there's a lot of older, unfortunately, a lot of older people end up raising their grandchildren and.
There was a case like that in Phoenix. The HOA was in one of these retirement communities, one of the better ones with nice big homes and everything. And this man living there, his son died in a car wreck, left 3 kids. Him and his wife were both dead. What do you do with the kids? Well,
Yeah.
they're the grandparents, and they wanted to try to throw this guy out.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And the governor got involved.
Yeah.
And then the U.S. senator, he got to keep his house. I mean, there's a limit. He's got to move eventually, but it's not, oh, you got 30 days and have to leave. It's like, that's ridiculous.
Right.
He didn't, he did unplanned situation, and, and you're going to traumatize the kids all over again. It's just,
right.
Yeah. But yeah.
I don't have to worry about that up here.
No, you own your house.
That's right. I'm going to keep it too. I don't have to put up with any external governmental source, even if it's only the community that's doing it. I don't have that up here.
Yeah, when we bought our
damn well pleased.
We bought our house, we made sure there was no HOAs involved.
Yeah, the banks won't hardly do it anymore. That's the lenders. They want they want those CCNRs and other things to protect the loan. It has nothing to do with the house or the people. And half the time, the developers don't even want to do it.
Right. Right. Well, my area is growing like a weed here in North Carolina, and everything new in there is coming with, like you said, CCRs and HOAs.
Yeah, they're even the lenders are going in and saying how big the lots have to be.
Right. Yep.
How many houses per square meter and all that crap.
Exactly.
Hey guys, this has been a great night. I got to get my 10-year-old in bed, so let's wrap this up a little bit here.
Okay.
This is a great show. I think it was a lot more successful than the last one, which I thought was a success. So I want to thank everybody that participated, and this is it's the people that make it. So I appreciate everybody showing up and sharing their things, and
well, I guess I'm not on the program tonight, huh?
What's that?
I guess I'm not on the program.
Yeah, we forgot all about Paul.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, Paul. Yes. I was going to have you after Bill Davis, but anyway, I promise we will get you on the next one. You and we'll get you on the next one. I'll have you in as number 1, Paul. And
while you're at it, you want to add me for the next one?
Yep. And
so when's the next one?
December the 12th.
December 12th. All right, we will.
Well, thanks for doing this, Chris.
Paul that was doing paper buildings.
Yeah.
Yes.
Paul something else, not Paul Vaughn.
Right. Yeah, he had to go. So all right, yeah, that's how it got screwed up. Is I I went for the wrong Paul, so I apologize for that. But we'll put Paul Vaughn as number one on the next one. So anyway, I want to thank everybody for showing up. Like I said, I apologize. I got to get my 10-year-old in bed. So
Thanks so
back to
much.
Jim, I guess.
Well, Chris, thanks for doing this.
Yes,
Thanks so
indeed.
much, Chris. I really appreciate it.
Yep.
Well, listen, guys, next time we've got a real treat. John Farrucca, who's an MMR, is going to be here with us. He's really a fantastic modeler. I think you're going to enjoy him. And that's Saturday, October the 17th. So thank you so much for coming this evening, and really do appreciate everybody participating in the My Bill section. And we ought to do this more often. I apologize we don't have one in November, but I had all the dates filled. December the 12th is the first time I had available. And we'll try to do better in the future and have more of these, because I think they're really valuable, and I think we all learn a lot from each other. But thanks again for coming. I appreciate it, and I'll see you Saturday.